Hey guys, it's me, Living Out Loud. This is my second half of my video response to Jenn the taxidermy, which is hashtag get to know a witch. I was live for my first half, and then my internet went stupid and kept knocking me off, and then I couldn't get back onto YouTube. It just kept throwing me off. So I just decided that I'm going to record the second half of this response. So consider this part 2, take like 3,000 because it took me a minute to even be able to get to this point. So I answered the first 10 questions of the hashtag in my live stream. So if you missed that, go ahead and go to that first. Then you won't be lost, right? So I'm going to pick up at question 11. 11 was explain the methods of connecting to others like us in real life. I do have a few witchy friends in real life. Some of them I've known for years. Some of them I've only known for a small amount of time, but I feel like I've known them a very long time. We get together on a regular, whether it's just to get together, have some coffee and some chit-chat, or there has been a few times that we've gotten together to celebrate the turning of the wheel. I have met some witches in some really weird places. One night, my bartender was a witch, and I picked up on that rather quickly, and I think I surprised her about it. And then for the rest of the night, she just kept coming to my table, and we would chit-chat about random lots of things, you know, which was fun. Also, I've met some witches in my job. I've done work for some witches, mundane work at that. All right, so number 12, solitary or coven. And there's a couple of different asterisks on it, whether I've ever been a part of a coven. And in my opinion, if I could be both. I am a solitary, eclectic witch. I stay to myself, really. So the ideal of a coven really isn't there for me. I know that I can trust myself and my intentions, but I know that I can't always do that with other people. So that's mostly why I stay away from covens. And like I said, I don't really search people out. And in my opinion, can I be both? From my basic understanding on covens, to me that's like the exact opposite of each other. But I suppose if it works for you, then rock it. You know what's best, right? And then the last part of that question is, in your opinion, does a coven have to be 4? If it's a Wiccan group, can it be 3, 5, or 13? And I don't know enough about covens to answer this asterisk, so I'm not going to. Sorry, Jenn. But I think that's the most proper thing, because I ain't putting out bad information, right? Okay, number 13. My current occupation, and then she also wants me to list all of my occupations and how I liked them. Alright, so my current occupation, I am a tire technician. I'm looking at starting an apprenticeship program to work underneath of a mechanic to get my light duty certification. That's still kind of in the air right now. It is something I'm interested in doing. And I think my company offers a great opportunity for me to be able to grow that way. Sometimes though I have a problem making like a solid decision that yes, this is what I'm going to do. I do like my job. It's different pretty much every single day. We do road service calls and whatnot, so one day my office is at the office, the next day it could be on the side of the interstate. It's different. It can be dangerous. So, you know, we'll see if I'm still there later. It might sound terrible, but, alright, so my very first job, you know, besides the one I got as a country kid, because, you know, I picked stones out of fields and fed calves and milked cows and threw hay, but that was all definitely back in the day. My first payroll job was at Dunkin' Donuts, which is probably what fostered my coffee is life attitude. And then I also went to McDonald's. You know, it's a pretty much common teenager job. Yeah, I wasn't thrilled there, you know, but it was money. I also waitressed at a lot of different family style restaurants, and then I went from being a table jockey to being a cook. So I started cooking at a lot of those types of restaurants. Also, at one point in time in my life, I was the head cook for the Human Development Commission in my county for Meals on Wheels, which is a program that I'm not sure is in all states or not, but it's a program that gets meals out to the elderly who may be shut in or otherwise not able to make a meal for themselves. So I put out anywhere between 300 to 400 meals a day. That was probably one of my favorite jobs, just because not only was I working and getting a paycheck, but I was also doing something good for my community as well. You know, I was giving back, and it's a good thing to do, you know. Let's see. I also line cooked cafeteria style as well. I ran my first kitchen at the age of 23. It was actually for a K through 12 school district, and I didn't cook all that pre-processed food. I actually made homemade food for these kids. You know, cooked real eggs, not the powdered stuff. Made homemade pizza and whatnot. I actually took their participation rate from their lunch program from like a 40% participation rate to 90 just within a few months, because, you know, I was feeding these kids real food. After that, like I mentioned in my first video, I served honorably for 8 years in the Michigan Army National Guard. I did have one tour overseas in Operation Iraqi Freedom. By the time I got out, I had been a supply sergeant for one of the largest transportation units that we have here in Michigan. I've been out of the military for the last 4 years. Since I've been out, I've had a couple of different jobs. I did property restoration for almost a year, and I really liked that just because it was labor work. Like, I like to work. You know, I'm not a behind the desk person whatsoever. I also ran a shipping and receiving department at a machine shop. That one was fun, you know, because I showed up there and told them, you know, I just needed a job. I was willing to run a press whenever. Just give me a job. And then they seen on my resume that I knew how to drive a high-low. And they were like, you really think you can drive a high-low? Let's see, you know. It was a teeny tiny shop, and I got on that high-low, and, you know, I know how to run a high-low. And I impressed quite a few of the guys in that shop, and all of a sudden I went from just give me a job, I'll fucking run a press for $9 an hour, to within a couple of months I was running their shipping and receiving department. So that was fun. And then I went from there to where my current job is, which, again, I'm a tire technician for a large corporation. I do service work for tractor trailers. Let's see. Question number 14 is, what does money mean to you? Sometimes, oh wait, what my dream job was. I forgot that. So back up just a little bit. Just on that last one, there is an asterisk about what is my dream job. And my dream job is not actually having to have one. I would love to be able to just have time to live my life and not worry about when my days off are and how many hours I can do this for and do that for and still go to work and still make a paycheck. And so yeah, that'd be my dream job, is not having to have one and being able to just travel all over the place and yeah, live. Okay, so number 14, explain what money means to me, and yeah, explains what money means to me. So money can be a source of great stress for me sometimes. I have to budget and watch everything that I spend. I'm a single mom to 3 kids. I pay a mortgage. Sometimes I have to repair my vehicle, and I feed and clothe my kids. I'm not on any type of state aid. Not saying that there is anything wrong with state aid, because there's not. It's there for a reason. It's there to help you out. but too many people use it as a career choice in life. I was on state assistance when my oldest was very young, and I got myself off of it before she turned 2, and she's 19 now. So I didn't want other people raising my children, you know. I wanted to do it myself. I was the one that chose to have them, so I'm the one that takes care of them. Let's see. I really try not to let money have that power over me or my happiness. Sometimes it's difficult when things get tight. They get tight. So sometimes it takes a lot more for me not to get down on myself and to just keep trucking along and to pay my bills like I'm supposed to. Let's see. Number 15 is Let's Talk Media. Jen wants to know our 10 favorite TV shows and why, as well as our 10 favorite movies and nonfiction books. So I don't really watch TV. I do occasionally, though, watch Prime or Netflix and Gaia. Gaia is more for my learning and my spiritual development. You know, and that is a paid subscription. So I do try to get on there quite a bit because I pay like $10 a month for it or something like that. But I generally don't find time to watch TV. And when I do, there usually isn't anything on. That's why I stick to going on to Prime or Netflix, and then I can just pick what I want to watch, right? So for some shows, I love True Blood. I mean, like, who can't love Sookie? That poor girl. Like, and then I also like the show called Lore. That one is a series you kind of need to really pay attention to. The first time I tried to watch it, I put it on, and it was gonna be background noise. Yep, nope. Apparently, I didn't get anything done that day. I got so into it. I also like The Marvelous Miss Maisel. I love that show. That's a Prime original, and it's like a role reversal. The woman is the main character in the show, and she kind of upstaged her husband, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain without giving away the entire show. Just go check it out. It's funny. I like it. I also got into Disjointed for a little while. I like 6 Feet Under, and then there was also a show that I caught on Prime for a little while, but it looked like they only had 1 season on it. I don't know whether it was canceled or what, but it was an awesome show. It originated it was a British show, I do believe, but it's called Switch, and it is it's about witches. And Switch was their key term to let everybody know that, hey, we had some work we gotta do. And yeah, I like it. They would, go into their an office space and do a quick spell on a boss and, change everything up. I really liked it. I thought they did a good job, and I hope it is just that Prime only has the 1 season and not that it just didn't continue, because I couldn't see people not liking it. Okay, favorite movies. Number 1, growing up, my favorite movie was always Wizard of Oz. The reason more so that movie always held some significance to me was due to my father. My father wasn't a part of my life, but it seemed that almost every year, I think it was TNT or something, always showed The Wizard of Oz and made a bigger deal about it coming on. Or, my dad would call me, and we would actually watch it over the phone just because he knew I liked it so much. And that's probably the best memory I really have of my dad as I was younger. So The Wizard of Oz will always have a special place in my heart just because of that. And I love The Brave Little Toaster. That's a movie I grew up on, and I just love it. And I always thought that, my stuff will get up and maybe follow me if I treated it right. Hachi, it's a dog story, and it's got I believe Richard Gere in it. And it's based on a true story, and it's all surrounding this dog named Hachi, who was so loyal, so loyal, even after death, to his owner. It's a good movie. Practical magic, because, I mean, come on, it's practical magic. Makes me want to drink margaritas and dance around with my crazy aunts, because I have a couple of them. Another one is called A Monster Calls. And I just came upon this movie within maybe the last 2 years. It's got a great storyline. Liam Neeson is pretty big in that movie, a big part of that movie. I really can't describe much about the movie without giving the movie away. But I can say that me and a friend had seen it advertised that it was going to air on TV later on that weekend. So we made plans for me to go hang out at our house, and we were going to watch this movie together, and because it just looked so good from the trailers. And before that movie was halfway through, I had the movie ordered and on its way to my mailbox because I just loved it. Again, that's called A Monster Calls. G.I. Jane, because she was a badass. Yeah, and like, I remember being in the theater watching that movie, and when Demi Moore shaved her head, I felt empowered for her. So yeah, I love that movie. Another one would be Stand By Me. You know, it's a definite classic. And then Flicka, Grease, and Pleasantville. Flicka is a story about a horse, actually a wild Mustang. And that's a great story. It was my oldest daughter's favorite movie when she was younger, so I watched it a ton of times. And I think I cry every time I see it still to this day. And Grease, you know, classic musical. I think I was born in the wrong decade. I don't know. And Pleasantville. There's a bit of a more of a storyline behind that than what a lot of people catch. And, you know, everybody was fine and happy with everything being in black and white because that's what they were told how it was supposed to be. And then when they started to do things outside of what they were supposed to do, all of a sudden things came into color. You know, and that to me kind of relates a lot back to my craft. Before I fully acknowledged everything, when I looked outside, I seen things the same way that everybody else does. And once I started opening my heart and my mind up to all of the love that is out there and all of the possibilities that surround me, all of a sudden everything I seen was in HD. So I think that's why I like Pleasantville. I think. I don't know. Alright, so number 16. Thoughts on Doreen Virtue and Aleister Crowley. Okay, so I really know only so much, so I can only say so much. I have used a book by Doreen Virtue. A friend of mine had lent it to me when I started studying further into gods and goddesses and deities. And anyways, my friend had lent me this book, and it was Ascended Masters, I believe. Yeah, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And like, I liked the book. I didn't have anything against it. But then I started looking into her. And I realized that, you know, apparently a while ago she denounced her spiritual path, and then proceeded to say that her oracle cards and other oracle cards are, you know, the path to the devil and la 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 la. And like, yeah, she still sells them, you know. So as terrible as she says it now is, you know, she's still making money off of us. So, well, we'll say at least maybe some new people, because I'm sure that people that have listened to the things that she has had to say about our communities they probably wouldn't support her anyways. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And then for Aleister Crowley, I have very, very limited knowledge on him. But from what I do know, you know, because he was raised in the church to begin with, and then he chose to do his own thing. And from what I understand, it definitely wasn't always light working, but he stayed true to himself even when others frowned upon it. And you know, like, this life is ours, we only get one, so to me that's important. But this question did definitely pique some more interest for me, gives me another thing to go study on. So maybe I can revisit this question later once I feel I got enough information. Alright. Number 17 is, what is your spirit animal and have you ever owned this animal? Okay, so I have always felt especially pulled to the white tiger. I've always just been in awe of their entire presence, their beauty, their power, and their ferocity if they were triggered. Who would want to mess with a white tiger? And obviously I've never owned that. I have lots of different pictures, blankets, random things with white tigers on it, you know. So I try to surround myself with the animal, but I don't have one in the cage in my closet or anything, you know. And the phoenix has also always called to me, due to its regenerative powers. I feel that it's invincible and immortal. And yes, it's being reborn from its own ashes and surviving. And after I lost my fiance, I actually went and got a tattoo of a phoenix on my stomach, representing to me the fact that everything that I've always been through in life, no matter what, I'm always going to survive as long as I just keep going, and renewing myself and renewing my path constantly. I just keep going, keep evolving, and that's, I think, why the phoenix has always called out to me. I don't know if that really counts and clarifies as a spirit animal, but it's my list, and that's what I'm going with. Okay, number 18. Sorry, I keep looking down. I had to move my list. Do you currently have any pets? She wants me to list it. Wants to know what my first pet was, and if I ever owned an exotic animal. Okay, so I have 3 cats currently. My oldest, his name is Rocky, and he will be 12 this month. I got him when he was 1, and he was a friend of mine's cat, and she just didn't have the time for him anymore, so I took him in, and he was always more of a solitary animal, which is why my friend couldn't keep him anymore, because she has her own little zoo. So when he originally came into my home, he was a solitary pet for many years, many years. So he definitely got very, very upset with me when I rescued my second cat, who is Bullwinkle, you know, because I had Rocky, so I had to have a Bullwinkle. But I rescued him when he was still big enough to fit in the palm of my hand, and he smelled like vanilla. No matter what, when you picked him up and you took a breath, he smelled like vanilla. And so I kept him. And then I also, my youngest is Tank, and she will be 2 actually here in the summer, and I have a special bond with her. She was hand-raised from 5 days on. Her and her litter were abandoned at about 5 days old. Mama cat got really sick when she had the kittens, and she stayed with them for the first 4 days, and then after that she let them go. Like, she didn't even care anymore. So I took these kittens in, and it was just like having a newborn baby, if not worse. It took me an hour to get them all packed up. When I needed to go and do something at a friend's house, I had to take these kittens with me, so I carried a crate. I kept a heating pad in the crate. My daughter has this like snake stuffed animal that actually I coiled around inside of the basket, and they would snuggle up to it. I had to set an alarm on my to wake up like every hour and a half or so during the night, so I could feed these little kitties. I actually, tragically, lost all of them but Tank. The first 48 hours were definitely the hardest. It was my first time ever trying to do that, and I lost more than half of the litter within the first 48 hours. It was just an emotional roller coaster in this house over that litter. And Tank was the only one who made it, and she got her name Tank because I misdiagnosed her sex. I thought she was a boy, but she was also way bigger than her litter mates. And whenever her one little sister, we called her Midge, would fuss and get upset, you know, and when it calmed down, Tank would climb over whatever was in her way to get to where her litter mate was. Like, have no fear, Tank is here. And that's how my girl Tank got her name. Let's see. My first pets, other than cats, because cats were always around my house. You know, we had a couple dogs, but my most exotic pet I've ever had, my mom gave me. She saved an albino hamster from like a scientific experiment, and she brought this little albino hamster home for me, and I fell in love. I thought he was the coolest little thing, and he was a really good friend. My mom saved, I think, like 3 more throughout the next couple of years, so I had a couple of them. I just loved them, but that's really about as exotic as my pets ever got. Not super exotic. My oldest daughter did have a pet snake for a little while. Her name was Mossy, and she gifted me with a couple of her sheds, which I was so very grateful for. Let's see. Question number 19 is my personal definition of a magical familiar, and if I've ever had one, and the story of finding each other. I believe that a familiar is an animal companion, you know, to a witch, who helps connect on a spiritual level and aids you throughout your journey. Not to say that that means that they do my magic for me, you know. I believe I've had a familiar, maybe even a couple throughout my life. Everybody might not agree the same way, but that's okay. When I was young, I was probably in about 3rd grade, and I had an aunt I had to go to church with, and she was the one who like prepared the church for services. You know, she cleaned and put up the flowers and stuff like that, and I had to help because, you know, I had to help. But anyways, we opened the door one day, and there was this teeny tiny little church mouse that was in the aisle, and it was so startled, like it wouldn't even move. And when I say teeny tiny, I mean like teeny tiny little mouse, right? And my aunt like screeched and told me that I had to kill it, and I was astounded. I was like, it's a baby, and I'm in church. I thought that that's against the rules. Well, then my aunt tells me that, you know, it's different because, you know, they weren't as important as us. And even as a kid, that didn't like ring right to me. So instead, I grabbed a bucket and some Kleenex, and I picked up the little mouse, and I put it in the bucket. And I said, well, you know, I'll just take it outside, you know, because we were in the country. My aunt was like, well, take it to the field down the road, because if you just take it outside, it'll come right back in. And I'm thinking, this little teeny tiny mouse is not going to survive in this big wide open field all by itself without its mommy, right? And so instead of the field, I put the bucket in the backseat of my aunt's car, and I covered it up with my coat, you know, so she didn't know that I kept the mouse in her car. And I took it home, and he became my pet. And it was the coolest little mouse ever. He hung out for a few years with me. Yeah, we named him Churchill when I told my mom what I did. She was like, your aunt would have had a heart attack if she would have known there was a mouse in her car during services. I'm like, yeah, I know, but, you know, I had to save it. I couldn't kill the mouse. We were at church. Like, that blew my mind for so long that I was at church and was told to kill something. But my views on him changed, or my views on religion changed because of him, you know, because of that, because I was told to kill him, and that my life was, you know, was more important than his. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, that's so the opposite of everything that you teach, right? All right, so number 20, my personal dress style. Do I blend in, follow trends, or am I wild, adventurous, think out of the box, and start my own trends? I describe my dress as comfortable and functional. Hence, I'm hanging out in my pajamas still, but that's because it's my day off, and I don't ever get to hang out in my pajamas. I'm definitely not a trendsetter or really a follower. I do tend to try to match, though. But I do mix and match things all over in my life. So a lot of people don't get who I am just by looking at my clothes by any means. Okay, and then she asked for us to break it down into some groups by using 3 words to describe what our style was at different points in our life. So up to age 5, I'm going to say hand-me-downs or last of the Mohicans. I'm the youngest of 4 children with a single mom, so we weren't like going out shopping or anything. I just wore what didn't fit my sisters anymore. Age 8, I call this one shake and bake, and the reason why I do is my favorite cousin when I was younger always teased me about being a country bumpkin. You know, she grew up in a bigger metropolitan city than what I mostly did, and she used to tease me because there was a commercial on TV about shake and bake, and it was like black and white, and there was this little country girl with her hair in her braids, which I wear my hair in braids, and she was like, it's shake and bake, and I helped. And my cousin just always said that was me. So that's what I'm going to call my up to age 8 is shake and bake, because I was a little country bumpkin. Age 12, and that's supposed to be like when puberty's hitting and you're like, hey, I'm a girl. Well, mine fits with rather be a male. I was tomboy through and through, threw my hair up in a ponytail, and let's go. Let's see what we can get into, you know. Age 15, I was like skater punk chick. I wore Jenkos and like half crop tops and chains on my belly, and I thought I was cool. Let's see, age 18, I was teen mom comfy. You know, just basic clothes. I didn't like to draw any attention to myself. Yeah, I still don't like to draw attention to myself. Age 21, and this was directed as like bar and club age, and I was a young mom, so I didn't have time to be doing all that. So at age 21, it's what's new clothes. I was buying my kid clothes. 25 would be ACUs and combat boots. My biggest decision during the day was if I was going to wear my winter boots or my summer boots. So yeah, at age 30, my style started to evolve a little more. I figured, I'm an adult, trying to not look like a teenager as much, but when you're comfortable in hoodies and jeans, that's what you wear because that's what works. And current is whatever works for today. Literally, whatever works. Pajamas, whatever. It's my day off. Okay, number 21 has 2 questions to it. So the first 21 is, what is my most heightened clair out of clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentient, and claircognizance? I truly believe, that I have a little bit of all of them. Lately, though, I feel like my clairaudience is starting to develop more, or at least I'm paying more attention to it. There has been plenty of times where I'm hearing things that other people aren't hearing, and sometimes it's music, sometimes it's a voice or two, even just nature sounds sometimes. Like, I will be somewhere where you cannot hear what's going on outside, and I can hear what's going on outside, but I don't have the best of hearing, if that makes any sense. I stayed the night at a friend's house one night, and the next morning I asked her, I'm like, yeah, what were you and your husband, I didn't call her husband, but what were you guys watching last night? And they're like, what are you talking about? We went to bed at the same time you did. And I was like, are you sure? I'm like, because I swear I just heard the most beautiful music, and they're like, oh, well, this, probably our ghost. Sometimes it even sounds like a radio station kind of coming in, and I get the buzzing and stuff like that. So I definitely think that clairaudience is my strongest, at least becoming my strongest. Claircognizance is something I guess I work with. I'm trying to listen to my intuition more and more every day. And claircognizance is just knowing. There's a lot of times that somebody will ask me something and I'm like, meh, I think if you do it this way, it's not going to work out so well. Maybe try to do it this way. And I can't 100% say that if they did it the other way, it would have been wrong. But for whatever reason, something was just telling me that it needed to go a different way. But yeah, that's pretty much where I stand on that. I'm trying to develop them, right? Okay, so, and then the bonus, number 21, is, I just lost my cheat sheet. My bonus 21 is, if, did you believe in magic as a child, and what age did you stop? What age did you restart? And if I will teach it to my children. I believed in magic really young. I pretty much was country raised, so I was around nature and animals a lot. I was forced to go to church when I was younger, but I had way too many questions for them. So I really didn't believe in God, but I did know that there was a higher power out there. At least I felt there was a higher power out there. It wasn't until I got older that I realized that that higher power was my higher self. Between the ages of 12 and 18, I was really just way too worried about what other people thought of me. And even though I was different, I really tried my best to just blend in. I wanted to fit in. I didn't want to be that strange girl, But I began really fully studying occult subjects when I was like in my mid-20s. As fully as I could. I mean, and I still do every day. I try to find something new to read. But I started finding people that were similar to me around that age group. And by then, most of us were not worried about what people were thinking about us anymore, and we realized that high school was still way back there. back in high school. I wish I had known those people, you know, when I was younger, and maybe I wouldn't have been so afraid to just be myself. Approximately 3 years ago, though, is when one of my good friends had said, "So when are you just gonna come out and honor your true self?" And so here I am, rocking it. My children ask questions, and I answer them the best that I can. I gifted my oldest daughter with her first 2 witchcraft books. I do believe she's gotten into it a little bit, maybe not fully, because she's another one. She wants to make sure she understands what she's doing before she does it. You know, can't blame her. I know where she gets it from. My son, I don't really foresee him being interested, but at the same point in time, he asks me a lot of questions, like a lot, and I answer them as well as that I can. And like I said, I think it might have been in the actual live stream, but you know, I encourage my children to accept everybody for who they are and what they have to offer. And my son knows that not everybody believes the same way, and that's okay. And he accepts everybody just like he accepts me. So who knows? Maybe I'll be teaching him more. I think I teach him, and they just don't really realize that I'm teaching them, you know. And then my youngest daughter, she's the most inquisitive. She likes my crystals. She'll come in and play with them quite a bit. She brought her friend in the one day, and I bought her a book called The Magic in Me, and it's it's the beginning of like a spiritual journey for kids, and she loves it. It had great reviews on Amazon, so I decided to go ahead and get it for her, and I'm really super glad I did. But that definitely ends this hashtag. I hope that you guys can actually go over to Jenn the Taxidermy Witch's page and catch her putting this up. Hers was in like 3 parts too, so I don't feel as terrible. I just wish my internet would have cooperated enough for me to get the whole thing out on one live instead of having to do this in like 500 takes, but whatever, I did it. There's your hashtag, Jenn. Yeah, so hopefully I can get my technological problems settled out, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Until next time, YouTube.